hold on. We're experiencing a little bit of technical difficulties and trying to be live at 5. So my additional help, in addition to Joanna handles all of the stuff in the background and makes sure that I'm looking in the right camera and making sure that everything is working as it should be. Tisha normally reads off the comments and things for the live, and she is joining us via phone tonight because she's doing something else. And so that's why, again, we're experiencing some technical difficulties. Tisha, are you with us now? I don't know what's happening. Okay, so just speak up if you need me to take you off of if you need me to turn up the volume. All right, so we're doing things a little bit different in light of the holidays and everything that's coming up. We had a reading last week for our live, and we're going to finish up the book this week for our live. So I hope everybody is tuning in, because I know we're supposed to do the master class, but we changed it up a little bit. And then within the next couple of minutes, we are going to do our gender reveal. Super excited. Okay. I'm going to give everybody a couple of minutes to get in here. So we'll probably give them until like 5 after, just to make sure that we have everybody in. So while we're waiting, a couple of things that I want to make announcements on. I just wrote an ebook last night. It's going to be available probably starting tomorrow. You can get it in our Shopify store. The link is on our YouTube, on the bio on YouTube. And we'll probably have that in the Peace Publications. Where is that one at? On also Shopify. That's on TikTok, right? Peace. Is it on TikTok and Instagram? Okay, so you'll be able to buy the things from there through Peace Publication. Anyway, so the title of it is "Anger Isn't Ruining Your Life, Your Reactions Are." It's going to be very cool, and I think I wanted to get it out there. It's $4.99, so it's less than $5, less than the price of a pack of gum. I went into the gas station the other day. I know this is a little bit aside from the fact, but I have never really looked at the price of the gum that I bought before, and the lady was like $8, and I was like, wait a minute, what? So for less than a pack of gum, you're going to get some information on patterns and how they're affecting your life, and we'll be able to move on to some of the other tools that we have available from there. So the other thing that we're offering is a $49 3-day intensive, and that one basically is to stop the pattern and pick up some new tools. I don't know who that is calling. We are just going to stay live and see what happens. So we have a couple more minutes till we get to 5:05. And again, I know we normally have been we alternate. So we do reading, and then we do the master class, and then we do reading, and then so it's every other week. But because we got so far through the book the last time that we almost finished it up, I want to finish it up this week. So we're doing What Cheese. We're just going to finish the reading of it, get that stuff done. And then what we'll do is come back in the new year with the next book. So you guys will be able to get new access to the book before it comes out, because we're not officially going to release that one until March. But we are going to read it live. So anybody who comes in and listens will be able to get the information. We'll leave it as a replay, so you can actually go through and you'll hear me reading the books. And then we're also going to do this as an audio book. That is going to come up pretty soon. I'm not really sure where we're putting that at yet, but we'll figure it out as we go. All right, so we are counting down the wire, getting close. Are we 2 minutes out? Are we almost there? 1 minute out. Okay, so almost there. Tisha, are you with us? Who else do we have on there? Did you see anybody? Desiree, Aria. I have Aria, Desiree, and Okay. Well, I can't talk to just let her know. I was trying to call her back. I'll call her when we're done. We're live. So we're gonna do some more reading. And so, and we're also going to do, before we do any of this, we are going to lead with a gender reveal, which I've never even done before. So here we go. We're 5 minutes after. So this is the gender reveal for my 1, 2, 3, 4. My 5th grandchild. Hey, Eric and Aria. So this is for their baby. So this is the first time that I've ever done a gender reveal. And so I'm glad that I'm able to do it in this format and we can actually see what this baby is going to be. So here we go. Is Allison on here yet? So that house hasn't made it. I hope everything's okay. They suffered a loss, which we will talk about. And it's really hard when you go through things like that. So we will hopefully be able to connect with them after. But here we go. All right. So it's 5 after, and we are doing the official gender reveal. We're doing it with it. What happened? So you can't see? Okay. Okay. So I'm getting instructions because I have no idea how to do this. So should I just dump it into here so you can see it now? Okay. So here we go. We are dumping it in so you guys can see officially what we're having. And here we go. Yay! Congratulations, Aria and Eric. Can you guys see that? Does everybody see it? Yay! All right. So there we go. Starting with a bit of a celebration. We're having a boy, and he is going to another boy. Since we can't get girls right now in this family, so another boy. Welcome, welcome. Super excited. And he'll be born in May. Oh Lord, is that Gemini's the end of the month in May, right? The beginning of the month in May is Taurus. Whew, I think this might be our first Taurus officially in the family. Okay, all right. So welcome, welcome. We are going to get back into the reading of the book. So we finished off where, hold on, let me see where we are. We finished off when the girls had gathered around the campfire. They talked everything out. They had met in the clearing. What happened? Are you talking, Tisha? We don't owe her anything. Anyway, she did say that. And I was pretty sure that this was going to be our girl that we have been waiting for, but it's fine. I'm super excited. Boys just seem to be running rampant. Oh, okay, Allison. Yay! There we go. Gender reveal. Are you looking? All right. Okay, here we go. All right, so that is out there. Another boy. These generations just have males and not very many females. And in the past generation, when I was having kids and Candy was having kids, we were having girls, and Terry, the only brother, was having sons. Anyway, and now it's opposite. All right, so here we go. We're getting back into the reading, starting with fulfillment realized. And then also, I think I mentioned at the beginning, right before Allison had come on, that we want to make sure that we send out our condolences for your loss and for our loss in the family. So right around the holidays too. But we will get through all of this. We will settle with peace and know that everything happens for a reason. All right, and so here we are. The girls are in the clearing. They met Faith, Hope, and Faith. I put the Faith, Hope, and Love, and we are now talking about fulfillment realized. You're welcome, hon. All right, so here we go. Hope shifted slightly, the soft jingling of her bracelets filling the space like wind chimes catching a breeze. She glanced down at the girls gathered nearest the fire, each wearing the bracelets she just handed out. Each one handmade. Oh, okay. Hold on a second. Before I get into this and start reading, I got the name of the baby already. So his name, oh Lord. Hold on. Somebody help me out here. His name is Eric Carl James Carl. Somebody help me with the last name. What? Silsasanak. Sizzo. Eric James Carl Sizzo. What happened? Noy. Oh, I missed Noy. Okay. I don't know how I did that. Okay, so start again, guys. It's Eric James Carl Noy Sizzo. All right. That's where we're going with that. Beautiful names, all after grandparents. So I love it that they kept the names in the family. All right. So here we go. Back to where I was. All right. So we are back with Faith, Hope, Love, Awareé, Cereen, Insecure, Ilateez, and Gotcha. All right. Here we go. So Hope shifted slightly, the soft jingling of her bracelets filling the space like wind chimes catching a breeze. She glanced down at the girls gathered nearest the fire, each wearing the bracelets she'd just handed out, each one handmade from bits of bark, beads, string, and memory. I made those on the road, Hope said, her voice light but steady. Little things I picked up along the way, woven when the nights were quiet or the mornings too long. They're not just pretty, they're reminders that you're not alone, that what you carry matters, that friendship can fit around your wrist and still hold the weight of the world. She looked at Faith, whose pearl hoop earrings shimmered in the firelight. And these, she said, touching Faith's earlobes, were bracelets once too. I gave them to Faith when we were still learning to trust what we knew. Hope smiled softly, remembering. She slipped them on her ears without a second thought. Said it was like the voice she'd always followed suddenly became clear. Like the signal stopped breaking up. Like purpose had turned the volume up on her soul. Faith met her gaze and nodded once, her eyes full of gratitude. Hope turned her attention back to the circle. After Love joined us, the three of us kept walking. Not fast, not urgent, just forward. Around the next bend, it happened. Her voice dipped slightly, reverent now. We saw it. She paused, letting the memory unfurl. A valley opened up before us like the world had been holding its breath, just waiting for us to arrive. I'd never seen anything like it. Grass so green, it looked painted, rolling like ocean waves. Wildflowers bursting in every direction, colors that had no name but still made sense to your heart. There was a brook, Hope continued, twisting and laughing over polished stones like it had secrets it wanted to tell. It wanted to tell you if you listened close enough. And it led to a lake, wide, quiet, and deep. So still, it mirrored the sky. Looking into it was like looking into another version of the world, one that had been waiting to welcome us. Hope let out a long, slow breath. There were no walls, no corridors, no maze, just space, just life, enough. She touched her chest lightly. We knew, we just knew. This was it. This was the place. The fire cracked gently. The wind rustled the treetops like an amen. So we started, she said. No speeches, no leaders, just hearts and hands. We built with what we had, and the vision grew. What started as a whisper became a town. Her voice grew firmer. We saw others too, mice lingering on the edges, peeking out from half-built shelters, watching us like they wanted to believe but didn't know how. We didn't rush them, we just kept building. When the foundation was solid, we'd go back and bring them with us. But not until it was real. Not until we could say, we made this. You can come now. It's safe. Hope smiled, her eyes brimming with something deeper than pride. Time passed. The three of us became more than friends. We became founders, builders, carriers of a vision. She gestured gently toward Faith. She followed the voice, trusted it with everything. And now she's ready to go back to the ones she loves, to show them what she found. Faith's eyes glistened, but she didn't look away. Hope continued, softer now. I spent most of my life hoping that something would change. And then I realized I am the hope. My longing wasn't empty. It was a blueprint. I'm going back too, she said, with stories so full they'll paint new pictures in minds that have only ever seen gray. I'll describe fields in bloom, lakes that sing, mornings without fear. I'll show them what it means to be free without having to escape, to be full without having to fight. She looked across the fire at Love, who blinked away tears. And Love, Hope said, her voice breaking slightly, Love has so much heart it spills out of her when she speaks. She talks fast when she's moved, like the stories rushing out of her before it overflows. She loves everyone, even the ones she hasn't met yet, even the ones who told us not to dream. Hope's bracelets jingled again as she opened her hands. That's what this is, a dream made real, a place where nourishments flow like water, where life doesn't need to be justified or earned, where you get to become whoever you were always meant to be. She leaned forward slightly, her eyes shining, her smile calm and unshakable. And the only question we still ask, The only thing left that makes us laugh in the quiet moments isn't about fear or walls. She paused, then said it like a benediction, like a blessing passed from one brave soul to another. What cheese? And all around her, the fire warmed the clearing, not with heat, but with truth. Whispers in the night. That was when we heard your panicked voices so close to the entrance of the maze. And with that, Hope ended her story. Gotchu now fully understood. The keeper's control over her through the saboteur, despite the harm it caused her. The safety of the maze had all been an illusion. The keepers of the maze had given her the saboteur to keep others from the knowledge of the truth. The maze was a fabrication. This was not the life they were intended to lead. Life in the maze was a trap, constructed to diminish the possibilities they were designed to explore. Those within the maze were limited, ruled by a need for cheese, created by those very beings that controlled their fate, a need that only existed within the maze itself. Those that faith, hope, and love believed to have been chosen and blessed were instead cursed for generations to rely on cheese, a reward for a life of rinse and repeat, to be lived without thought, without question, and certainly without purpose. At every level developed within the maze and the close surrounding areas, including the original nesting spots, the house that doubt built, delusional towers, anxiety acres, complacency court estates, all built to keep them under the dome and within the confines of the maze. The fire crackled softly, echoing the silence that followed Faith's words. No one moved. Then Insecure cleared her throat, quiet, almost like she didn't mean to be heard. What causes me the most pain, she began, eyes still fixed on the glowing embers, is thinking I'm not enough before I've even been seen. She shifted slightly, eyes flickering up just once. I hide, and I hate that I hide, but it's safe in the shadows, or at least it used to be. Awareé reached for her chain, rolling it between her fingers before speaking. For me, she said slowly, it's knowing what I'm capable of and still settling for less. Her eyes burned into the fire like it owed her something. I've had the light for a long time, but I've been using it to eliminate everyone else, not myself. Ilateez rubbed the blue stone in her hand, her thumb moving over it like a worn ritual. I think mine is always doubting I'll be heard, she said, so I stay quiet. I rehearse everything I want to say until the moment's already gone. She looked up, eyes glassy but steady. I don't want to miss another moment. Cereen stretched her arms, then leaned forward on her knees, the blade of grass in her mouth perfectly still. Pain, she said slowly, draw thicker than ever. Pain is knowing I've built a whole life out of comfort and still waking up restless. She let the silence fill in the truth her words didn't say. Finally, Hope spoke. Her bracelets jangled softly as she folded her hands in her lap. What causes me pain, she paused, then smiled, soft but sad, is seeing the beauty in everyone else and still struggling to believe in mine. She looked across the fire at Faith, then around the circle. But I'm getting there, one bracelet at a time. There were so many questions on both sides. The fire had settled into a quiet, pulsing glow, low and steady, like the collective heartbeat of the circle. Sparks rose now and then like silent prayers, disappearing into the velvet sky. It was Gotchu's turn to speak. She hadn't said much that night, listening as she always did, with those soft, large ears that missed nothing. She didn't interrupt. She never needed to. Gotchu waited until the moment called her forward, and when it did, she stepped in like she'd been stitched into the story all along. Her voice, when it came, was low, steady, reverent. This night, she said, gazing into the flame, it reminds me of the stories, of the ones who made it out long before us. The ones who weren't just whispered about, but believed in. The girl shifted, sitting a little taller. Even faith, hope, and love grew still. The fire cast long, amber shadows across their faces, the crackling embers now quieter, listening as if the flames themselves were leaning in. Sorry, I gotta get some water because, talking is thirsty work. Hold on one second. Okay, hold on. And we're getting to the good part. Not that it hasn't all been good, but here we go. All right, so, okay. Okay, there we go. Gotcha spoke again, her voice no longer casual, but ceremonial. Each word she uttered sounded like it had been waiting a long time to be spoken aloud. Legend has it that there were three, she said, eyes locked on the fire. 3 who walked out of the maze before anyone believed it could be done. Not because they were lucky, her gaze rose slowly to meet the eyes around her, but because they were chosen. She let that truth hang in the air, heavy as nightfall. The circle of girls leaned closer, breath quiet, limbs still. Gotchu's tone shifted to something deeper. She wasn't just telling a story now, she was invoking something. Apostole, she began, almost in a whisper. She doesn't move through time the way we do. She moves with it, like a tide that knows its own moon. She steps in and out of places as if the boundaries don't apply to her. They say she appears wherever she's needed, as if the fire itself remembers her. Her eyes glisten, catching the firelight sparks on wet stone. She's not bound by the maze or the keepers or the clocks. Apostole heard something we didn't know how to listen for. Not just the whisper, but the voice behind the voice. The one that existed before the sacred tale was ever carved into stone. No one moved. Even the flames seemed to dim, quieting themselves for what came next. Gotchu's voice deepened, steady with reverence. Then there's Logic, the one who found the source. She saw the maze for what it truly was, something deliberately designed to contain, an experiment, built by the keepers to measure us, manipulate us, study us. A few of the girls shifted uncomfortably. Logic didn't just escape. She rewired it. She left cracks in the corridors, scrawled codes on the walls that only those who truly believed could see. She carved paths where none existed, ones you could only find if your heart had already said yes. She supplied cheese to those who struggled to find it on their own. Faith drew in a sharp breath, her eyes fixed on the flame. And she knew, Gotchu added, that they would come for her. The keepers don't like to be outsmarted, but she did it anyway. Then softer still, so soft it felt like a confession. Large. Gotchu paused, exhaling slowly, like saying her name required space. She didn't run. She didn't resist. She refined. Her voice took on a new kind of strength, quiet but unwavering. She chose simplicity, strength, purpose, used only what she needed, and became something so aligned, so utterly in tune with truth, that even the maze had no label for her. Gotchu's eyes swept across the firelit circle. She's the blueprint, the one who showed us that strength isn't force, it's clarity. She looked down for a moment, grounding herself in silence. We weren't the first, she said. We've never been the first, but we are part of what comes after. She turned to Faith, Hope, and Love, her voice gentler now. How long did you travel, she asked. Long enough for everything to change? Faith's jaw tightened. She swallowed hard, eyes stinging with worry. Do you think, Faith whispered, our families are still there? Did we miss our chance to save them? Hope reached out, her hand wrapping around Faith's. If time is a thread, Hope said softly, maybe we're not late. Maybe we're arriving exactly where we're meant to. Insecure leaned forward, eyes wide and searching. She stared at her hands like they might hold answers. We've been living on someone else's clock this whole time. I don't even know how old I am. Not really. The silence that followed Insecure's words was not empty. It was sacred, thick with the weight of memory and the ache of not knowing. Then came Love, her voice warm, wrapping itself around the circle like a shawl. And never, she said, time isn't something that controls us. There are no schedules, no bells, no keepers with clipboards, just rhythm, breath, day and night, rising and falling like waves, the way life was always meant to be. Her voice softened to a near whisper. It's the kind of time your soul remembers, even if your mind forgot. They sat with that for a long while, the fire humming gently, the air rich with something unnameable. Gotchu leaned back into the shadows again, her expression unreadable. Eyes distant now, watching something far beyond the edge of the fire, listening, always listening to what others missed. And the fire, slow and steady, burned on, not just for warmth, but for witness. Legends revealed. The fire hissed as another log settled, sending a delicate spiral of cedar smoke into the night. It wasn't loud, just enough to remind them the fire was still listening. The sky hung heavy with stars, the kind of silence that only followed truth-telling. The kind that held its breath, waiting for whatever came next. Then the air changed. It wasn't a sound. It wasn't even a breeze. It was the shift that came when the world paused, because something sacred was stepping in. 3 shadows emerged at the edge of the firelight. Not loud, not hurried, but steady, certain. The girls didn't reach for each other. They didn't flinch. They just knew. The first figure stepped into the glow, her silhouette cutting clean lines against the golden flames. Logic. Every inch of her moved like someone who'd walked through the questions most people were too afraid to ask. Her boots were scuffed and weather-worn, dust hugging the creases like a memory that refused to be brushed off. A crossbody satchel hung heavy at her side, bulging slightly with maps, notebooks, folded blueprints, and metal instruments that clinked with every step like tiny truths refusing to stay quiet. She adjusted her round wire frame glasses with the back of her wrist and scanned the circle, slow and calculating, not with suspicion, but recognition. She nodded once, crisp, confident. "We weren't sure you'd believe we're real," she said evenly. "Now you have no choice." The circle rippled not with fear, but reverence, as if the prophecy had taken form. Then came Awareé. She didn't step forward. The firelight reached for her, like it remembered her before it ever knew warmth. She moved like memory, soft tan fabric trailing behind her, bare feet kissing the earth with every step. Her presence was a hush that carried wisdom, like she'd seen the beginning and didn't mind waiting for the end. She didn't rush, didn't need to. She turned slowly, her gaze moving from face to face. Faith, hope, love, insecure, Awareé, Ilateez, Cereen, Gotcha. Her eyes didn't inspect, they received. It was Hope who whispered first, "She sees us." Awareé spoke at last, her voice like a river stone warmed by the sun, smooth, grounded, ancient. "I didn't come to speak," she said. "I came to listen. But if the fire calls for me," she paused, her mouth tugging into a quiet, knowing smile, "I'll answer." Her presence folded into the circle like a thread already woven into the quilt. And then, without warning, the night felt heavier. Not burdened, anchored. Awareé emerged like the mountain people had heard of but never seen. She didn't walk, she arrived, each step thick with intention. Her broad shoulders framed a wild silver mane that danced in the breeze like it had never been told what to do. She was solid, sculpted, calm. Not still, but contained like a storm with purpose. The fire didn't just flicker in her presence, it leaned. Awareé said nothing at first. She simply stood, her eyes scanning the group, not looking at them, but through them. Then, with practiced ease, she lowered into a crouch at the edge of the fire's reach. Her arms crossed over her chest, not to guard, but to ground. When she finally spoke, her voice rolled out like distant thunder, wrapped in still uncertainty. "I'm Awareé," she said. "I don't waste words, and I don't let the world take what I haven't offered." She paused, her gaze falling on the younger girls first, lingering on Insecure, then Ilateez. Her voice softened just enough to carry weight without weight. "I'm not here to lead," she continued. "I'm here to hold the line, to make sure no one falls behind. If you cross that bridge, you earned this fire. You belong." For a long moment, time obeyed her silence. The trees didn't sway, even the wind held its breath. And the girls, they didn't speak, they simply knew. The legends weren't just stories anymore. They were real, present, whole. They had brought more than their names. They had brought their strength, their stillness, their scars. And they had brought them here for them. The circle had grown, and the fire, it roared, because it knew now they were whole. Truth shared. Logic stood just beyond the light of the fire, eyes narrowed behind her wire-rimmed glasses. Her fingers tapped absently against the leather strap of her satchel, where maps, journals, and fragments of decoded maze data lay coiled like sleeping truths. She scanned the group slowly, methodically. Each face around the fire reflected a different part of the maze. Each woman a fragment of a system designed to trap them, test them, extract meaning from their moments, and movements. And yet, here they were, unbound, alive, changed. Logic stepped forward. Her voice, when it came, was not emotional, but not cold either. It carried the weight of reason. "You were never random," she said. "None of this was." She looked to Faith, then Hope, then the others, Insecure, Awareé, Ilateez, Gotcha, and Cereen. "You came from different corners of the maze, different restrictions, different lies. But all of you were designed to perform, to respond, to survive within rules set by beings who never had to live by them." She paused, letting the firelight flicker across her lenses. The maze had structure, beginning and end, top and bottom. It was designed, measured, studied. The keepers controlled the sky, sun, and moon, day and night. They chose how long your sorrow lasted, how brief your joy was allowed to be. A stillness fell over the group, heavy, real. Then logic said it. And now, it's gone. Not figuratively, not symbolically, gone. Logic turned to Awareé and Largé, drawing them closer with a glance. Her voice dropped into something almost inaudible. We can't go back, she said. None of us. Not even you, Awareé. The keepers, they're erasing it, all of it. Every quarter, every nesting zone, every false reward. Awareé's expression didn't shift. She had already known, but now she felt it. She looked to Gotchu, who flinched under her gaze and turned away, her hands fidgeting with the edge of her wrap. You were part of it, Awareé said gently, not as accusation, but as truth. You helped make this moment possible. You assisted the keepers. Whether willingly or not, you moved us out of the maze, and now we can't return. The group went still. Even the fire dimmed, as if trying to brace for what came next. Gotchu's voice was low, frayed. I didn't know they'd erase it, she whispered. I thought I was guiding you through, not away. I thought I could go back. She dared to glance up, met Awareé's eyes, and then quickly dropped her gaze again. I thought I could fix it, or at least explain. The silence stretched unbearably. Then Love spoke, her voice breaking through like light through fog. Yes, she said, rising slightly. Gotchu was influenced, used, but so were we, by fear, by comfort, by silence. She looked around the circle, her voice rising not in anger, but in conviction. All of you passed that warning sign without reading it. You stared at the flowers covering the words and said, how beautiful, instead of asking, what's underneath? We all wanted escape more than we wanted understanding. Her eyes shone with tears, but not with shame. Gotchu made choices. So did every one of us. Logic nodded slowly, stepping beside her. If any of you had remained in the maze, you would have eventually been lost, swallowed by it. That's the hard truth. She looked out over the group, no longer scanning, connecting. But in that truth, we found freedom. Costly, yes, but real. You are now positioned to create something unmeasured, untethered, limitless. Logic's words settled in. Largé knelt beside the fire, feeding a fresh piece of wood into its glowing center. Her deep voice filled the silence with unshakable gravity. Gotchu will carry her truth, Largé said, and the weight of her decisions won't fade. But none of us get to rise into the next world without facing our own shadows. She turned slightly to Gotchu. You're still here. That matters. Then she returned her gaze to the fire. We all have cracks. It's through those cracks that the light gets in. For a moment, all was still, only the fire moved. Then Awareé stepped forward. Her voice came with the hush of legend. I was told this would come by Mr. Jinx. The very name stilled the air. Several girls gasped softly. One whispered, he's real? Awareé nodded, her tone reverent. More real than anything else we've ever known. He was there when the first keepers formed their council, before the first stone of the maze was ever laid. She looked into the fire as if he were inside of it. He died once, spectacularly, in a battle no one remembers, but everyone feels. His body broken, but his soul didn't leave. It was given back, not as spirit, not as echo, but as himself, whole. She looked back to the circle. Every time he speaks, the world tilts. And he told me there would be a moment like this, a collapse, a birthing. He didn't know when or where, but he knew it would come. A silence deeper than before now blanketed the group. And then they stepped forward. Awareé, Logic, and Largé, the three legends, now no longer whispers, but flesh, present, real. They stood together before the fire, their shadows stretching behind them, tall and flickering like pillars of something ancient being rebuilt. The others watched, some trembling, some breathless, all listening. Awareé spoke again, her voice low and warm like song wrapped in truth. This is your beginning, she said. It hurts because it must. Grief this deep only comes from love that was real. Her eyes scanned each girl's face. You will not see them again. Your mothers, your sisters, the ones you left in the maze. A sob escaped from Ilateez, and Awareé reached to hold her hand. But listen to me, Awareé continued. Their legacy doesn't end. It becomes you. It flows through your hands. It dances in your breath. You are what remains and what rises. She stepped closer to the fire. You were not cast out. You were called forward, chosen, not by chance, by a will older than keepers, older than the maze. Her voice broke, but she kept going. You will build the future, not someday, now. And for a moment, the fire lifted, high and gold and wild, as if Mr. Jinx himself had breathed onto the flame. And just like that, they knew, every single one of them, they could not return, but they could begin. The beginning. One by one, each stepped forward, no longer hiding behind what had happened to them, but stepping fully into who they had become because of it. Insecure stepped forward first. Her voice shook as she whispered, I didn't know it was guilt I'd been dragging behind me. I thought it was duty, loyalty. She looked up, eyes shining, but the truth is, I was terrified, afraid to leave behind those who only knew how to survive inside the maze, afraid I'd be seen as ungrateful, or worse, as a traitor. She placed a hand over her chest, but I came anyway. I'm still afraid, but I'm here. There was silence, reverent, not awkward, until Awareé stepped beside her. I knew there was something else out there, she said. Her fingers fidgeted with the chain she always wore, now glinting in the firelight like a symbol of both burden and strength. But every time I reached for it, I'd hear that voice in my head, the one that said I wasn't enough, that I'd failed, that I'd fall. She drew in a breath, but I kept walking, even when my knees shook, even when I thought I couldn't take another step, because I finally realized doubt doesn't get to win. Ilateez stepped forward next. She stood still for a moment, eyes scanning the horizon even now. My mind doesn't rest, she said simply. I calculate every risk, every step, every possible outcome. Her voice softened. I used to think that was strength, but it was fear, dressed up as logic. I wrapped myself in caution so tight I couldn't breathe, but I followed them anyway, into a world I couldn't control, and for the first time, I exhaled. Gotchu didn't speak right away. She stepped into the circle slowly, glancing down at her hands like she could still feel the weight of every wrong choice etched in her palms. I sold my soul for control, she said. Her voice was rough, unpolished, honest. I crushed dreams that weren't mine to step on. I did it because power in the maze meant safety, or at least the illusion of it. Tisha? There we go. That's it. Thank you so much, Allison. She said she's still afraid, but she's here. Powerful. All right. She looked at Faith, then at love, and still, you hold me up. Still, you forgive me. I didn't think I deserved this circle, but here I am, and I'm not leaving it. Faith reached out first, then hope, then love. One by one, the others followed, until Gotchu stood surrounded by the very women she had once betrayed and who now refused to let her fall. Then Cereen spoke, her voice gentle and unhurried. I lived in comfort. I didn't need to change, didn't want to, she shrugged, not apologetic, just truthful. Complacency court gave me peace, but it dulled me, numbed me. She looked at the fire, and then one day, I watched the others step forward, and I felt something. I didn't know what to call it, still don't, but I followed it. And what I found here is presence. For the first time, I'm awake. There were no cheers, no applause, only stillness, the sacred kind, the kind that follows truth. Faith stood quietly, her pearl hoops catching the glow. I was born on a mission, she said. The maze never made sense to me. I wanted answers, a path, a way out. And when no one could give them, I had to find out on my own. I followed the voice I heard without question, and it led me here. Hope took her hand, and I was born to believe, she said, tears in her eyes. Even when it didn't make sense, even when it hurt, I believed there was something better. And now that belief has a name, fulfillment. Then love, the quiet pulse of them, all stepped to the center. I didn't need you to be perfect, she said. I needed you to be yourselves, messy, unsure, growing, because love isn't what fixes you, it's what holds you while you heal. They all stood together now, no longer divided by past, by roles, by stories handed down from the keepers. They had chosen each other, chosen this. Together they would create something the maze had never allowed, a home built on truth, a community without condition, a future rooted in freedom. They would raise fulfillment from the very soil beneath their feet, not from blueprints, but from belief. And as the fire burned low and the stars blinked into being overhead, the last of the fear fell away like ash. They were no longer searching for the cheese. They were the ones writing the new map. And in that moment, the final line of the old story whispered itself closed. What cheese? And that's the end of that. The cast of characters. So I'm going to go through why the girls are named the way that they're named. So insecure is actually, of course, insecure, not confident or assured, uncertain and anxious. Awareé is actually aware, having knowledge or perception of a situation or fact, concerned and well informed about a particular situation or development. Cereen, calm, peaceful, and untroubled, tranquil, and expansive, clear sky or calm sea. Ilateez is ill at ease, but we had to pronounce it Ilateez because it's easier to say. Feeling uncomfortable, uneasy, and self-conscious, particularly in a social setting. Gotcha, Gotchu, having someone's back, supportive, got it covered. I know what you're saying. She was actually the opposite of that until they got to the clearing. Faith, a firm belief in something for which there is no proof, something that is believed with especially strong conviction. Hope is to cherish with desire or anticipation, to want something to happen or be true. Love, strong affection for another rising from kinship or personal ties, unselfish, loyal, and benevolent, to hold dear. Logic, the study of correct reasoning and argumentation, examining how conclusions follow from premises based on the structure of arguments regardless of their content. Apostole, or apostle, one sent on a mission, a strong supporter or advocate of a cause, belief, or idea. Large, large, something impressive, memorable, and that stands out from the ordinary, often with a strong personality or appearance. Mr. Jinx, who we haven't met yet, Latin origin, spell, or charm, a symbol of innocence, good, the enduring presence of light and kindness, even in the face of darkness. And then the places we've been. So anxiety acres, a feeling of fear, dread, and uneasiness. Delusional towers, delusional, holding firmly to false beliefs despite evidence to the contrary. Complacency court estates, complacency, showing smug or uncritical satisfaction with oneself or one achievement. Yes, Tisha. Did you say something? Oh. Well, thank you. Thank you. And the saboteur is sabotage, deliberately to destroy, damage, or obstruct something, especially for advantage. And cheese, which is the currency, a dairy product made by coagulating milk, resulting in a wide variety of flavors, textures, and forms, best consumed in moderation. So remember not to get swallowed up by the cheese or whatever it happens to be that you're chasing. Money, complacency, whatever it happens to be. Remember everything in moderation. Thank you guys for being with me as I read that. I'm not sure. We're going to be probably potentially taking a break over the holidays, but I'll let you guys know. Maybe we'll do Tuesday. No, we'll do next Wednesday. We probably just won't do the Wednesday of New Year's Eve, but we'll do Christmas Eve. We'll probably do it at 5 and try to get through it. If any of you guys have any, we're not going to be reading, so we'll be talking about the best way to get through the holidays without having any issues and how to make sure that your peace does not get, what was I going to say? That your peace does not get disturbed. All right. Congratulations again to Aria and Eric. And to Eric, James, Carl, Noy, Sizzo. All right. Coming in May. All right. So you guys have a wonderful week. I will see you on the other side. If you have any questions, we are here. Thank you for being a part of our YouTube community. All right. We'll talk soon. See you guys. Have a wonderful week. Are we out? Sometimes it takes me a little while.